The search is underway for a new home for the CrossFit Games. We'll tell you the cities vying for the right to host the ultimate proving grounds for the world's fittest athletes. Saunders embraces the mayhem. And is Rich heading for retirement? We'll talk about it next on Game Central. Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Game Central presented by Thorne. I'm Sean Woodland with Annie Sakamoto. Of course, Madison, Wisconsin has been the home of the CrossFit Games since 2017. Now that could be changing after this next year. And here are the cities that are vying for the right to host the CrossFit Games. Wisconsin still in the running, but two cities in Texas as well, Austin and Dallas, and also Denver, Colorado have all put proposals forth to host the CrossFit Games after 2022. And when you think about Madison, Wisconsin, and when you go to the games there, it's really like CrossFit takes over the city. It's a fantastic atmosphere. What are these other cities going to have to bring to the table if they want to duplicate that?
Well, first, I think the cities need to be easy to access. So, there's a lot of international athletes that are coming in, and having said that, there needs to be an abundant amount of lodging, and that's something where it's been hard in Madison. There are also going to need to be multiple venues. When we think about Madison, there's always been a couple of different spots where some of the events are held. I'm going to guess there needs to be some water nearby.
Wouldn't hurt.
No, exactly. But then looking at some of these options, the humidity and the heat in Texas is definitely going to be difficult for these athletes to deal with. And the altitude of Denver, I also think will be hard for these athletes to deal with. It means a lot of these athletes might have to come in literally right after the semifinals to acclimate to these different elements. So it'll be interesting to see where they choose and how the athletes respond to the new choice.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that as we look for a home for the CrossFit Games after 2022. Well, speaking of things changing a little bit, Saunders is now going to be a Mayhem athlete. She took to her Instagram account to make that announcement and also announced a partnership that she has with Froning with active sunglasses. Saunders has been one of the most dominant Australian CrossFit athletes for a long time now. She was only 2 points away from winning the CrossFit Games back in 2017. Unfortunately, this past year after winning her semifinal event down there in Australia, she had the respiratory issue that she dealt with at the Games and had to withdraw. But no one seems to not get better when they get on the Mayhem programming. What does this mean for Saunders?
I think this is really kind of a dangerous move, and not for Cara, but for her competitors. Like you said, Sean, I have yet to see an athlete get worse going to Mayhem, switching over to Mayhem programming. And then on top of it, in her post, she says that the Mayhem programming focuses heavily on a lot of her weaknesses, but in a fun way. So to think about Cara kind of shoring up her weaknesses and enjoying herself while she does it is very dangerous for her competition.
Yeah, and speaking of Rich Froning, he hinted earlier in the season that this might, and I want to stress that, might be his last competitive season, meaning that he would head off into retirement after 2022. And it's hard to overstate what he has meant not only to the sport but also the community as a whole, and it's going to be hard to imagine CrossFit without him on the competition floor. But if he does decide that 2022 is his last season, what could be next for him?
Well, I think the key word there is if. I'll believe it when I see it as far as Rich retiring goes. But if he were to retire, I can see, number one, that him continuing to build this brand that he has built in CrossFit Mayhem and this stable of athletes that is just absolutely incredible. And then on top of that, I would imagine that a lot of this decision is being driven by his family. And I think that he would probably be focusing heavily on that family life, and you got to respect a man for that.
That is going to do it for this edition of Game Central presented by Thorne, the official supplement partner of CrossFit. Thorne helps athletes and individuals perform at their best by optimizing performance through testing, database solutions, and premium nutritional supplements. Visit thorne.com/u/CrossFit to get 20% off your order today. Also remember that the Worldwide Open starts in almost 2 months. It's in February 24th, so stay tuned for more news on when you can register and how to go about doing that, because, hey, we're all going to take part in the Open. Can't wait for that. And the 2018 CrossFit Games documentary is out now, available on iTunes, so be sure to check that out as well. For Annie Sakamoto, I'm Sean Woodland. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.